Picture this. You're on YouTube at 2 a.m., scrolling through videos promising to change your life. You click on one titled, "Take Full Responsibility for Everything." The guy in the thumbnail looks intense, pointing at you with determination. You think, maybe this time it'll work. So you watch, you nod along. You feel motivated for about 48 hours, then crash harder than before. Sound familiar? I'm Tony, and today we're exposing why taking full responsibility might be the worst advice you're getting. Not because responsibility is bad, but because the way most people teach it is toxic. And I've got something better for you. See, I used to believe that success meant being ruthless with myself, that every mistake was a moral failing, that if I just criticized myself hard enough, I'd finally get my life together. It nearly broke me. Today, I'm sharing what neuroscience and psychology actually say about responsibility. We're going to bust 3 dangerous myths that keep you stuck in cycles of shame and self-punishment. And I'll give you a framework I call compassionate responsibility, a way to own your choices without destroying your soul. Let's start with the first myth that's probably sabotaging your progress right now. Myth number 1. Full responsibility means harsh self-blame. Here's what actually happens in your brain when you beat yourself up after a mistake. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that harsh self-criticism activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between stubbing your toe and calling yourself a failure. But here's the kicker: when you're in that pain state, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for problem solving, goes offline. You can't think clearly. You can't learn from mistakes. You just hurt. Meanwhile, research by Dr. Kristen Neff at the University of Texas shows that self-compassion actually increases motivation and resilience. People who treat themselves with kindness bounce back faster from setbacks and are more likely to reach their goals. So when you mess up, and you will, because you're human, instead of "I'm such an idiot," try "I made a choice that didn't work out." What can I learn from this? Same accountability, zero self-abuse. Let me give you a real example. Sarah, a viewer who shared her story, used to berate herself every time she skipped a workout. "I'm lazy. I have no discipline. I'll never get healthy." Then she'd quit her routine entirely. When she switched to compassionate responsibility, her inner dialogue changed. "I chose to skip today. I wonder what got in the way. Maybe I'm overcommitting, or my workout is too intense, or I need more sleep." Notice what happened? She took responsibility without the character assassination. And guess what? She started working out consistently for the first time in years. This brings us to myth number 2. You must suffer to grow. This one runs deep in our culture. We glorify the hustle, the grind, the no pain, no gain mentality. But here's what the research actually shows. A 2019 study in the journal Emotion found that people who practice self-compassion during difficult times showed greater emotional resilience and were more likely to engage in healthy behaviors. The suffering wasn't creating growth, it was blocking it. Dr. Paul Gilbert, who developed compassion-focused therapy, explains that our brains have 3 emotional systems: threat, drive, and soothing. When we're constantly in threat, criticizing ourselves, pushing harder, ignoring our needs, exhaust our drive system, we burn out. But when we activate the soothing system through self-compassion, we create the psychological safety needed for real growth. Think about it this way. Would you rather learn to drive from an instructor who screams at you every time you make a mistake, or from someone who calmly points out what went wrong and helps you improve? Your brain prefers the calm instructor too. Here's a practical way to shift this. When you catch yourself in self-punishment mode, pause and ask, what would I say to my best friend in this situation? Then say that to yourself instead. It's not about lowering your standards. It's about creating conditions where you can actually meet them. This leads us to our final myth. Compassion is weakness. I get it. Our culture equates compassion with being soft, making excuses, letting yourself off the hook. But the research tells a completely different story. A study in the Journal of Health Psychology found that self-compassionate people were more likely to engage in healthy behaviors, more motivated to improve after setbacks, and less likely to avoid challenging situations. Why? Because compassion isn't about excusing bad behavior, it's about creating psychological safety to face the truth. When you're not afraid of your own judgment, you can be honest about your mistakes. When you're not constantly defending yourself from your inner critic, you can focus on solving problems. Let me share how this works in practice. Instead of harsh responsibility, I completely failed at my goals this month. I'm pathetically compassionate responsibility. I didn't meet my goals this month, and I'm disappointed. Let me look at what happened without judgment. I took on too much, didn't plan for obstacles, and ignored my energy levels. Next month, I'll set fewer goals, build in buffer time, and check in with myself weekly. See the difference? Same level of accountability, but now you're actually learning and adjusting instead of just suffering. Here's your action plan for implementing compassionate responsibility. First, practice the friend test. When you make a mistake, ask yourself, what would I tell my best friend in this situation? Then extend that same kindness to yourself. Second, separate the action from your identity. Instead of I'm a procrastinator, say I procrastinated on this task. Instead of I'm weak, say I made a choice I wish I hadn't. Third, focus on learning, not punishment. Ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of why did I do this? The first question opens possibilities. The second closes them. And finally, remember that everyone struggles. Your mistakes don't make you uniquely flawed, they make you human. As Dr. Neff puts it, suffering is part of the human experience, not a personal failing. Let me leave you with this thought. The voice you use to talk to yourself becomes the voice you use to navigate life. Make it kind, make it wise, make it compassionate. True responsibility isn't about punishing yourself into compliance. It's about caring for yourself enough to grow. You can find more resources on self-compassion research and practical exercises in the description below. Dr. Kristen Neff's website has excellent tools to help you develop this practice further. What's one area where you'll try compassionate responsibility this week? Share it in the comments. Let's support each other in choosing growth over guilt. Remember, you're not broken. You're becoming, and that's worth celebrating.